A Florida jury deliberated for just 12 hours before acquitting the widow of the Pulse Nightclub shooter. Noor Salman was charged with obstruction and providing support to a terrorist organization. She faced life in prison. Manuel Bojorquez covered the trial.
Noor Salman left the jail a free woman.
It's a great day for Miss Salman. She just needs some time to be with her family right now.
She sobbed after the not guilty verdict was read, as did her relatives, including her uncle, Al Salman.
I say that's day one, that she is innocent.
The government's attorneys tried to prove Salman knew her husband, Omar Mateen, was planning the June 2016 attack, which killed 49 people. Prosecutors said she was with Mateen when he purchased ammunition and cased possible locations like Disney Springs, and that she told the FBI she knew his intentions. But defense attorneys said those statements were coerced, and there was no audio or videotape of the interrogation. The jury foreman spoke after.
Felt that the prosecution didn't provide sufficient proof to meet the burden of proof required by the letter of the law.
At the Pulse Memorial site, survivors of the shooting like Nima Barami gathered after the verdict.
When you heard the words "not guilty," what was that like?
It was heartbreaking. Immediately, my mind went to the 49 family members of how they didn't get the justice they needed, that little bit of justice they needed today.
And Manuel Bojorquez joins us now from Orlando. Manny, federal prosecutors generally have a strong record of convictions in terrorism trials. So what is different about the case of Noor Salman?
Well, it really came down to evidence and not having some sort of taped confession, either on audio or videotape from the FBI. It looks like that was the big flaw for the prosecution here and for investigators at the very onset of looking into how this horrible act all played out when they interviewed Salman Noor. It's important to point out a late-breaking development here is that the foreman of the jury has issued a written statement wanting to make a very important clarification, saying that even though the verdict came back as not guilty on both counts, that the jury did believe, that they were convinced she was aware of his intentions. She may have not known the time or the place, that she was aware that he had these intentions to carry out some sort of attack. But they say the language of the charges here was whether she helped him carry it out. And for that, they say the evidence just was not enough.
Now, in court, Salman's defense team spoke about abuse by her husband, Omar Mateen. How much of a factor did that play in the trial?
Well, they brought it up at the very beginning, but they never went back to that. They chose to portray her more as a vulnerable person, even saying with a low IQ, something many people would find offensive if it were about them. But in this case, they were hoping to bolster her defense by saying that this was someone who was easily influenced or manipulated. So they went that route. But again, what we're hearing from the jury, at least the foreperson at this point, is that they were aware of some things that were said by the prosecution about her being along with him when he bought ammunition, going on a trip to Disney World, one of the places that Omar Mateen is alleged to have been scouting to carry out this shooting. So the fact that the jurors are saying the charges here, we just could not get her on those charges, even though we did believe she had some knowledge of a possible attack, that certainly will not sit well with a lot of people here in Orlando.
Indeed. Now, we also found out during the trial that the father of Pulse shooter Omar Mateen is actually a longtime FBI informant and is under investigation for international financial transfers. So what could happen to him next?
Well, that's really hard to tell because at this point the FBI is really not commenting on that, on the information that was revealed during the trial that Sadiq Mateen, Omar's father, had been an informant for the FBI at various points for the better part of a decade before the shooting happened. And there were reports about looking into some of those financial transactions that he allegedly carried out. So at this point, no additional information about him, no comment from him or the FBI. It's really unclear what, if anything, may materialize from those revelations that were made.
All right, Manuel Bojorquez in Orlando. Thank you.
Thank you.